What is ancillary industry? To give you an example, today, when people make arguments in favor of bullet train in India, even though it's a costly affair, but one of the arguments in support of it is that if bullet train is uh, installed or this project is set up in India, then it would lead to mushrooming of a large ecosystem, that is ancillary industry, which in long run will give us multiplier effects. However, because everything is being imported from Britain, no ancillary industry developed here. In fact, if I have to tell you, the British, they gave the job of only repairs to the Indians. These locomotives, these engines would be repaired in India. However, what did these people observe? For instance, at a factory railway repair shop in Jamalpur, which is now in Bihar, earlier in Bengal, in Ajmer, the workers had become so proficient that they now started designing and manufacturing their own locomotives, which were as good as the British locomotives and much more cheaper. Alarmed by this, the British passed series of acts in 1912 which made sure that no locomotives would be manufactured in India from then on. In this entire period, in this entire period, India manufactured only 700 locomotives between 1853 and 1947. On the other hand, we imported approximately 14,400 locomotives from Britain and another 3,000 locomotives from countries like Canada, Germany, USA. So this was the situation. We lost our knowledge, our know-how completely by the time of independence. And that is why we had to turn towards the world to teach this to us again. Okay. Now, one would think that it would have at least led to the employment. It would have given employment opportunities to Indians. No. Again, through facts, we can know that in 1921, only 10% of senior positions were occupied by Indians. If we talk about technology, only low level and unavoidable technology was developed in India. Like, what are the examples of this? Like track laying. Now, if it was up to the British, they would lay the track in Britain and say the train is running in India. But it was unavoidable. If train has to be run in India, then the tracks have also to be laid here. And along with this, along with track laying, tunneling was also done in India. So this another technology, another technique we learned from the British at this point of time. Now, further, the development of railways, if we see how it deindustrialized India, then the development of railways also led to the market penetration of British goods. Market penetration of mass manufactured cheap British products into the Indian hinterlands. This hurt the industrialists. This subverted the Indian industries. This undercut the Indian artisans and accelerated the process of deindustrialization. Because if anyone goes to the market, they will buy the cheap British product and not the expensive product which is handmade by the British, thus reducing the demand for indigenous artisans and goods. Okay. Furthermore, this development of railways, it was also a disconnected and discriminatory development. Discriminatory development. Why do I say this? That this is discriminatory development, disconnected and discriminatory development, because see, now suppose two ports are constructed here, P1 and P2, and let us assume that these are the internal markets. These are the internal markets from where the British have to either sell goods or they have to extract the raw materials. British made sure that they avoided any interconnections. They avoided any interconnections. For instance, this is how they would build the railway lines. This is how they would try to build the railway lines. Only where it was unavoidable would they connect the internal markets. Why were they doing this? They wanted to ensure that the construction of railways was port-led. Okay, it led to only port-led development. No, if connections are made between the internal markets, then it will facilitate internal trade. And British did not want to do this. Also, I said, so this is the disconnected part of the development. Along with this, what I said, it is also discriminatory. Why was this development discriminatory? Now take the example. Take the example of fares. How were the fares decided? So this is the port. This is the hinterland or the internal market. Okay. Now they want to make sure that the freight pricing facilitates export of raw material. It facilitates export of raw material and import of finished products. So what do they do? If you are going to bring, let us take the case of raw materials. Okay. Raw materials. If one is going to take the raw materials from India to the port, from internal market to the port, this would be cheap. And if one is going to take the raw materials from port, if Indian manufacturers want to import raw materials from outside, then this would be expensive. Similarly, or not so similarly, if one were to export finished products, this would be cheap. Export of finished products into India would be cheap, and export of finished products would be expensive. This discriminatory policy also allowed them to de-industrialize India and sell their goods in the various parts of the country. So, ensuring export of finished products, import of finished products and export of raw materials. Finally, if we talk about the agricultural situation, the situation of agriculture, then it also led to agricultural exploitation, what we call as agricultural exploitation. What does this mean? Agricultural exploitation. See, one believed if the railways are established in India, then it would at least help the farmers, because now the export of agricultural produce is increasing manifold. That happened truly. However, the benefits of it were also accrued by the traders. They paid only pennies to the farmer, and all the profits were taken away by these traders who were usually Englishmen. At the same time, now the farmer, the peasant is forced to purchase this agricultural produce from the market at a higher price. The farmer is also exposed, the peasant is also exposed to the vagaries in the international market. For instance, when the cotton prices slumped after the end of Civil War in America, the cotton growing peasants were completely destroyed, which led to the Deccan riots in India in 1879. Okay, so these were some of the negative consequences of the development of railways in India. Now, at the same time, there are many who talk about the positives of the development of railways. See, what we need to understand, if there is any development of the scale of railways in any part of the world, even though you may want to have only negative outcomes, and yet it is such an infrastructure that it will lead to some unintended positive consequences. So this is what we say, that some of the unintended positive consequences of the railways. And remember, just some apologists of the British Raj will just talk about these positives. However, you need to remember that these positives do not paint a true picture. So, what are these positive consequences? One is clearly infrastructure. It helped in development of infrastructure, which helped the post-independence deindustrialization. Post-independence industrialization, sorry. Post-independence industrialization. In fact, we are the fourth largest railway network in the country. It definitely led to faster means of transport and communication. This increased. So this also would facilitate some kind of trade. Feeder roads. See, one mistake the British did, but it was unavoidable, was the construction of feeder roads. What are these feeder roads? Feeder roads are ones which help in running the railway station, and they will accrue these services. They will take up the services of the nearby regions. For that, they have to construct roads. So these feeder roads also sometimes facilitated trade. Now, the development of railways has also led to the rise in a new middle class and labor class. These were the people working in the British plantations, in their industries. So this rise in the middle class and the labor class, this middle class came from the neo-capitalist. For example, the Bhadralok in Bengal. Who were these neo-capitalists? These were the traders, merchants, bankers. These people benefited. Bankers, the civil servants, bureaucrats. This class formed the basis of a nationalist consciousness. They formed the basis of a nationalist consciousness. Inadvertently, it has also led to growth in trade. As I said, not manufacturing, please remember. This will hurt the manufacturing. These traders, because trade was happening more in India, these traders are now selling the British products instead of Indian products. So there is growth in trade, which is helping some sections of the society. An important contribution of this was spread of nationalist ideas. Nationalist ideas. For example, when Gandhi arrived in India in 1915, back from South Africa, he would travel in the railways for 1 year across the country to understand the true spirit of the country. For instance, the Congress sessions were held in different parts of the country. These people were traveling through the railways, which was promoting unity across the country. For instance, it helped to develop a common consciousness when Lala Lajpat Rai travels from Punjab to Bombay for the session of Congress. He will see that British are exploiting the entire country in a similar manner. And that is why a common consciousness will develop that Punjab, UP, Madras, Bengal, everything is being exploited in a similar manner. So if oppression is uniform of the Indians, then the reaction will also be uniform. This reaction was nationalism for the Indians. It also, we can say that it has also led to some employment opportunities. Though I have already spoken about this time, some employment opportunities marginally were provided in sectors like mining, in sectors like industry. Along with this, one real advantage was that the price vagaries, the inter-regional price vagaries, the differentiation in price. For example, today, if tomato is 200 rupees in Delhi, then it would not be 20 rupees in Bangalore. There would be a very approximately it would be of same price in the entire country. However, before the development of railways, before integration of the country through the railways, before integration of markets gradually through the railways, this inter-regional price variation was quite high. However, to conclude this topic, we must not forget that railways has led to the development of underdevelopment in this country. Development of underdevelopment. Instead of bringing self-sufficiency, it has brought economic dependence, destruction. However, one can also observe, can say that development of railways is a double-edged sword. Why? Because on one hand, it has led to destruction of the industries. It has led to destruction or economic exploitation on one hand, and on the other, it has led to unintended modernization. So therefore, it is a double-edged sword. And this was some details regarding the development of railways. With this discussion, you can write a comprehensive answer in the mains, and if any minute details, micro details are asked regarding the development of railways, so that also we have discussed. Thank you for viewing this discussion.